welcome in to the Flagship. I'm your host, Zach Berry. Joining me here, my good buddy, Joe Troyan. He is assistant pro, club repair tech by trade, but he does a little bit of everything at Cherokee Valley Golf Course in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Proud sponsor of the show. We're going to have him on, talk about what's going on at Cherokee for the summer and kind of what his day-to-day is like for someone that is constantly trying to keep everybody on the cutting edge and try to improve everyone's game with a little tinkering here, a little tinkering there. Before I do that, I want to remind you, show brought to you each and every day by our friends at College Corner. If you don't know by now, they've got a spot in Oxford on Sisk Avenue. You just missed the giveaway to try to get the signed Grove Collective football by Lane Kiffin, but you can still go in there and get the closet loaded up with new merch for the summer. Maybe you need a couple extra polos for when you go to the beach. Maybe take that family beach picture. You want to rep Ole Miss? Go get you a polo or two. They've got tailgating supplies. They've got gifts. They've got T-shirts. Pretty much everything you could possibly think of. College Corner's got it. If you're not in Oxford, you can go to Ridgeland or Flowood as well. And if you're not local, have no fear. They've got collegecornerstore.com, and they will take care of you just as they take care of us. Joe, for posterity reasons, we were recording this in the evening. Look, let's just get right to it. You've been at the course all day. What's a day in the life of an assistant pro and a golf tech repairman?
Normally pretty busy this time of year, so we've definitely hit the ground running, kind of moving into the season. Probably a little bit earlier than we normally would. We've had a pretty good spring. Came out of winter pretty strong after some snow in January. Nothing like they saw all over like in East Tennessee and stuff like that. So we were lucky there. But we came out strong. And I mean, a normal day for us, today was pretty normal. We did about 180 players, trying to keep everybody happy, keep pace of play up. It was cart path only. So that's always a challenge. It's always kind of a fun thing to deal with, but it's just good, dealing with people every day and making sure they're having a good time at the course. I think we try to pride ourselves as being one of the better daily fee golf courses in the Mid-South. And, it takes a team to do that. And the guys always contribute, as much as they can every day. But yeah, just trying to stay busy and trying to keep everything nice and clean and ready to go. And all the clubs put together and nothing broken for too long, at least.
So yeah, I know that there's been a lot of work going on. Y'all done some improvements, a little bit of some cosmetic stuff, but also improving the grounds as well. We talk about it all the time. You listen to the show, you hear the ad read, but just kind of what's the latest updates and kind of what are some of the things that y'all are proud of heading into summer 2024?
No, definitely. And he'll be mad if he listens to this because he never wants to take any credit. But Corey Voiles, who is our superintendent, does a fantastic job. Really over the past couple of years, been doing some hard work on tee boxes and bunkers. So, I mean, those are two things that I think if, guys normally go play a public golf course that gets a lot of play, I think those are two areas that, sometimes are lacking.
Yeah.
And he's done a good job over the past couple of years of really kind of introducing us some new grasses into our tee boxes. It's a little bit more durable. It's still the zoysia, just a different strain of zoysia that we're using now. And then with bunkers, we've kind of taken that hard look at the course and said, what works and what doesn't. I think any course that's built in the 90s, probably was over bunkered, at the beginning. Bunkers cost money though. That's time and money spent on every single one of those. So I think a couple of years ago, took a good hard look and said, what do we need? What do we not need? And has really kind of, started to near the end probably of that project. And, I think if you played us, 3 or 4 years ago versus playing now, you don't feel like you're missing anything necessarily because we took some stuff away. But I think that what's left is much, much better than it was and in really good shape. And then, I think always the struggle with us in North Mississippi is, greens can come and go sometimes during the winter. I know we're in the South, but man, it gets cold sometimes. And if those tarps blow up, if we don't get them covered up quick enough, then, you can lose them. And there were a couple courses around the area that had that issue last year. And we were lucky this year. Came out everything really strong and are looking I mean, heck, I've worked off and on at Cherokee Valley since what 2004 probably, and I would say the greens and the fairways too are just looking absolutely pristine right now. I mean, he's done a great job. Great job.
You mentioned the snow that East Tennessee got. I'm in Middle Tennessee. We got slammed.
Mhm.
One of our, probably my favorite course. I know you hold it near and dear to your heart. Sweetens Cove is closed for the summer as they're
Yeah.
trying to repair that grass. If we want to get a little aggro here, literally and figuratively, with some talk about grass. For somebody like me that doesn't know anything about that, how how the hell does that happen? I know that like that place is so busy, it gets so much
Yeah.
play, but also, I mean, did it just get just absolutely zapped by the cold, or was it something?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, what happened was you had a layer of snow that went down, then a layer of ice on top of the snow. And that essentially just absolutely rips up the first, like, inch and a half, 2 inches of turf that you have there. Um, Bermuda doesn't like that. Bermuda wants it wants warmth, it wants sun, it wants high temperatures, and when you deal with something like that where you've got ice on the ground for a week or two, um, man, unless you just get really, really lucky, there's honestly nothing you can do. You can you can pray to whomever you want to, and hopefully you get lucky. But I mean, at that point in time, there's nothing much unless you literally had enough tarp to cover every piece of ground on that property. uh, It's just it's a bad hand to get dealt more than
Yeah,
anything. I mean, it kind of gives them some time now. They get to kind of just rest and recover and get everything back in term. It's going to come back. It's just going to take it a long time to come back as much as anything. So I
yeah,
think the guys that get out there this fall and then the guys rolling into next spring, hopefully, will get a really really good product out of it.
yeah. I my first thought was, being in a valley doesn't help it either,
Oh no, not at all.
where everything's just going to kind of settle.
Right.
There's not much runoff.
Nope.
If you've been to Sweetens, you know about Sequatchie Valley. I mean, like it's a beautiful piece of property, but yeah, I mean, there,
It's a floodplain. I mean, it's just
yeah,
there's. I mean, it's yeah, it's just susceptible to it. It's like building a house in Florida or something. You just kind of
yeah,
unfortunately you take the brunt of it sometimes.
yeah. Um, what's so you club repair specialist as well. I know you've been working hard on that.
Yeah.
What's kind of like the I guess the most common thing that you have to deal with, and what's probably the most obscure, maybe the most random or hilarious?
I would say most common is definitely convincing people to need new grips. You see the guys come in and there's a sheen or a shine to their Golf Pride Tour Velvet, and you start to see the cracks in there, and you kind of just mention it to them like, man, it might be time to get that 10-year-old grip replaced. So, that's something that is kind of that baseline for me when I started at Cherokee was let's bring what I did for years with a company called Golfsmith and then a company called Second Swing. Let's bring it to the course and give these guys, full service that can kind of, hopefully help them with their game. If you can't grip the club properly, that's the only thing connecting you to the club. It needs to be good. Probably reshaft more than I should, but people have temper and things like that, and things get broken, and then they have to swallow the pill and realize how much shafts are nowadays. So plenty of that. In terms of the uniqueness, it's funny. You get some of these odd builds sometimes where a club is sentimental, value to a customer, whether it's an old 975D bore through, or it's hey, I've got this old R11. Can you bring it back to life for me? Can you find the adapter again? Can you do this? Just had a guy that brought in an old Adams driver. Adams went away for a good while. TaylorMade bought him and they shuttered the brand. They're back now, kind of direct to consumer, but I mean, it's hard to find stuff for them. And it
Mhm.
was just a club that he said, hey, I'm struggling and this thing worked for me. Can you somehow fix it? And, you work your suppliers and things like that. And you find the piece here and piece there and you get it built for them. And I mean, it's something that, yeah, new technology is probably better, but yeah, I think we all kind of have those moments in golf where we go, I just got to revert back to when it was good. And you go to what you knew. And it's nice to be able to kind of get guys into that stuff again and kind of get them through maybe a rough patch to where, they're set up and ready to go for the summer and for the season.
What I guess the you mentioned the grips, that's huge. having everything the same is a big deal. I learned that a couple years ago,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
outside of that, what, in your opinion, what's probably the most important thing for, a weekend golfer, an amateur golfer that is trying to improve somehow, some way? If it's a club repair thing, what's probably the biggest, piece of advice you could give or offer?
I think that what guys have to realize is no matter what your skill level is, there is a portion of the fitting process and kind of the custom build process that can work for you. Now, I'm not going to tell a guy that's 2 months into playing that we need to go through some kind of full bore. Let's look at every shaft, every lie angle, everything there. But you know what? If he's a 30-year-old guy, he's not going to get any shorter or any taller. He's at his height.
Hmm.
His grip, size isn't going to change. Hopefully, his hands aren't going to shrink or grow or anything like that. So, just getting some of these guys that are new to the game, which we've seen just an explosion since 2020, and it's I would have lost the bet. I would have said that explosion was going to go away, and it keeps on growing. But just getting these guys that are, new to it, that are, hey, you're 6'3" and you've got, a double X glove hand. Let's get you into something that's a little bit longer and get you into something that's maybe a little more mid-sized grip wise, or the opposite holds true too. And those are things that I think some of the newer guys are scared of. They're scared to ask those questions, and even those little things can make a difference to them. It's an uncomfortable game, and it is a hard game. So to get something just a little bit more dialed to what you are can help you out in the long run.
Speaking of getting dialed, you've played golf pretty much your entire life. I'm pretty much coming up on like year 7,
Yep.
almost 8. How big of a deal is the ball? I know it probably is dictated by the player, by the type of swing, or there's probably a lot of analytics and data that goes into it. But how big of a deal is that?
It's funny. I used to dork out on this on the retail side of it when I worked at stores, and what I would tell folks is you playing an expensive golf ball isn't going to hurt you. Like, playing an expensive golf ball isn't going to hurt you in any way.
Hmm.
But the way that golf ball is designed, you have to put the inputs into that swing and into the golf ball to make it do what it's supposed to do. So, for that beginning player, a lot of the time, if we've got a guy that's got a big miss, let's say he's got a ball that's obviously spinning a lot and he's got a big left to right or a big right to left,
Hmm.
then we might actually sacrifice a little bit of speed with that player and go with something that's a little bit softer just to kind of calm down that spin a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas the opposite holds true with, a more advanced player. So a guy that can really, put a lot of speed and a lot of inertia into that golf ball and energy into that golf ball. We want something that has multiple layers to where, hey, that guy, he doesn't need a lot of spin off the tee. He doesn't need help getting the ball in the air. He's swinging 120 miles an hour.
Hmm.
So when he penetrates down to the core of that golf ball, so let's say 4 layers deep, that ball didn't spin a lot. But on that delicate wedge shot from 60 yards, when he's only reaching, let's say, the second layer of that golf ball, then he can control that spin and hit something that's a little bit flatter, but still maintains a lot of spin. So it really is an individual thing kind of per customer. And that's something that, I'll try to get guys to talk about it a little bit more when they're kind of staring at, the Titleist balls in the rack and kind of, hey,
Hmm.
what's your game? What are you looking to do? And once again, I think it's kind of one of those things to where guys just, well, I shoot 100. What does it matter? Well, let us know what you're doing when you're shooting 100. Are you shooting 100 because, man, nothing I get has height, or I can't hit a fairway. I'm not going to say we can fix it with a golf ball, but we can maybe make it a little bit better with a golf
Hmm.
ball. So,
Yeah.
once again, it's just kind of, talking to the customer and understanding where they're coming from.
The College Corner is headed to Oxford. Stop by their new location in the Oxford Commons off Sisk Avenue. They'll have 4,000 square feet of Rebel gear ready for your trip to the Grove. On your next trip to Oxford, stop by the College Corner or our other great locations in Ridgeland and Flowood. Hats, shirts, polos, pullovers, sweats, t-shirts. College Corner has it all. And as always, you can visit us online at collegecornerstore.com. That's collegecornerstore.com. The College Corner, where your game day apparel meets.
Call Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group. He can help you with any of your health insurance needs. Drew is an Ole Miss grad located in Mississippi and licensed in 7 states. He works with the nation's second largest health insurance brokerage with access to 35 different carriers, regular health plans, to life insurance, to dental and vision, and even Medicare. He has it all covered. Now more than ever, it is critical to have a health insurance agent who is local and accessible. So call Drew Moak at 601-953-8449. 601-953-8449 and get your free quote today. Speaking of talking to customers, look, you could probably get Joe to help you out with, your figurative health on the golf course. But if you're looking for literal help with your health, you can hit up our good friend Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group. You can give him a call, 601-953-8449. He can help you cut those health insurance premiums by 20 to 30%. And he's an Ole Miss grad. He's located in Mississippi, but he's also licensed in 7 states. So he can be local and accessible for you if you're around Mississippi, but he can also help you out if you're elsewhere. He works with the nation's second largest health insurance brokerage with access to 35 different carriers. So he can help you with everything from regular health plans to life insurance to dental to vision, Medicare. Drew and USA Benefits Group have it all covered. And today, if you go to usabg.com/DMOAK, you can get your free quote today. That is Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group. All right, let's jump into this weekend. As we record this Wednesday evening, the PGA Championship will tee off on Thursday at Valhalla in Louisville. First of all, I've explained this to not only to me, but to the listeners that may not know. I've seen this mentioned a lot, that this course is more of execution and strategy. To me, that kind of sounds like it's just very straightforward. Is that kind of what that means, or is there something else?
I would agree. It's straightforward. It's something to where there might not be a lot of thought processes off the tee. There's not a ton of options. It's a big, brawny golf course. It's almost something that visually, for older listeners, might harken back to an older U.S. Open setup. So narrower fairways, really thick, lush bluegrass rough. You got to hit it long and you got to hit it straight. I think where that execution part does come down, though, is you're not going to hit every fairway. You're not going to hit every green. So what are you going to do on those misses? And that's where guys probably are going to have to take medicine sometimes on holes that they consider scoring holes and just kind of say, hey, a par or bogey, and we're good to go. The PGA's kind of changed in the past. I think Kerry Haig, since he's been setting it up, it's not that scoring fest that it was, I think, when we were kids. It's become a little bit tougher of a test, and I think guys have had to adjust to that. And I don't expect anything different from Valhalla. I think Rory won in 2014 at 16 under. I think they've, definitely added a little bit to it in terms of length. They've narrowed the fairways a little bit since then. So, I think we could be looking at something more along the lines of, 11 to 13 under, which, not a huge difference there, but it's almost a stroke a day difference. So, man, they're just gonna have to be on. When they miss the fairway, miss the green, they're just gonna have to be on.
All right, let's just dive right in. Who do you like this weekend? You got Scotty Scheffler back. He's off the new dad hiatus, but you've got Rory McIlroy returning to Valhalla, trying to have a little bit of a 10-year reunion, defend that title. I've seen a lot of people picking Rory, try to make it 3 in a row on tour.
Yeah.
Can he make it, 3 in the PGA? I've seen a lot of him. I've seen a lot of Ludwig. Scheffler obviously is a popular pick just because
Right.
Scotty Scheffler, and he's insane. He's only been beaten once since March 1st, and that was when he finished T2 at the Houston Open. So,
Yeah.
who do you like?
I don't want to go chalk just because chalk is easy, and I'll say this too. I think Chalk right now, there's a lot to be kind of thrown up in the air. I think, like you said, Scotty, coming off of kind of a short little baby leave here. And, how much has he been able to put towards it? Who knows? Rory, you hate to mention it because it's so outside of golf, but I mean, life happens and he's got some stuff that's going on now. Ludwig, was his knee really a knee issue? Did he really just want to miss Wells Fargo and didn't want to get in trouble just for who knows? We don't know. A guy that's really up there, and I cannot think of what distractions he has other than the league that he has chosen to play for is Jon Rahm.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jon Rahm right now, I know it's different because if we look at strokes gained for him, it's different than strokes gained on the PGA. It just is. But we look at his last 5 starts on Live. He finished top 10 in Singapore. He finished 3rd in Adelaide. Finished 4th in Live Miami. He finished 8th in Hong Kong. Didn't have a great Masters, but there's pressure there when you're trying to defend. I mean, there's a lot of pressure that's on you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Data Golf today looking, and other than Scotty Scheffler, who I think was I wrote it down because it was just kind of stupid. Scotty Scheffler's strokes gained approach is at 1.4 to the field, so he's gaining 2 strokes almost to the field on that. Well, Jon Rahm is gaining 2 strokes to the field on strokes gained approach. And like I said, on a big, brawny kind of bully of a golf course like this, if you hit that fairway or you're in that rough, what are you going to do on that second shot? And I think Jon Rahm is one of, if not the best guy in that position in the world right now. Like I said, I know that it's a who knows. I mean, Live's tough to judge anybody off Live, but man, he'd be hard for me not to put a couple bucks on just to kind of get some halfway decent odds, to be honest with you, and maybe make a little money in the long run.
Yeah, I see a lot of people throwing out Justin Thomas. He's from Kentucky. He's won the tournament twice. I do remember, I think it was No Laying Up, their podcast preview of the PGA. I think there was a quote from Justin Thomas where he said he hasn't been there in like 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's his backyard and he goes there all the time.
There's a lot of pressure there too. I mean, you've got I mean, it's like Max last year. I think they kind of mentioned it. It's like Max last year in LA at the US Open. You've got a city that's, kind of, going, hey, man, do something for me. And that's a lot to deal with in terms of a major tournament.
Yeah, I like the Rahm pick. And I don't know. I'm trying to find the odds here for Rahm.
I had him at plus 1,800.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've seen Ludwig at plus 1,800.
Which Scotty's at like plus 425, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of, with my heart, not my head. I like Homa. He's been knocking on the door. I think that's important, playing good golf, even though you're not winning. And that's what the PGA Tour is. I mean, you can't, some people can win everything like Scheffler's doing right now and Tiger did for so long.
Yeah.
But, I think, he's been a top 15-ish golfer for a while.
He's 12th in the world, and data golf wise, he's 12th in the world. So if we combine both leagues, as of right now, he's playing as the 12th best golfer in the world.
Yeah. T3 at the Masters played really well. Just nobody was running Scheffler down. But I heard him talk, and he said that he's trying to get the putter back to where it was last year. But I mean, he's performed well in the big stages, like the last 5 tournaments, like T8 at Wells Fargo last weekend. We said the T3 at the Masters. He was T8 at the Arnold Palmer and then T8 at Quail Hollow. Really good ball striker. I think that's important on this kind of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of one of those things where, like, if the putter can get going, I think that, kind of see where he's at, on moving day.
Well, and I think it might have been on the fried egg. They mentioned it. It doesn't seem like there's been kind of that, that like kind of big breakthrough major win in a while, where a guy's been around for a long time and he finally breaks through. We don't have that discussion anymore of like who's the best not to have a major. It seems like, and right now you look at it, I think Homa is starting to maybe zero in as that guy on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
It feels like he's going to get one. He
Yeah.
just has to kind of hope that Scotty's not doing his thing or Rory's not doing what he did last week. And I mean, it's tough. I mean, you can play so well, and these guys that are just out of this world talented, it's tough to do. It just is.
Yeah. Speaking of talented and, kind of waiting for another breakthrough, I don't see him being talked about a lot, but Brooks Koepka, defending PGA champion, won Live Singapore by 2 shots. And then, yeah, I mean, outside of that, he's been kind of all over the place. He was T9 at Adelaide, but then
Not good prior to that.
terrible at the Masters. I don't know. I mean, you watch enough golf. We talk about golf enough. After Brooks went to Live, I think everybody was kind of like doing the Dustin Johnson treatment to him, where it's just like, he's just there to collect a check. I think when Brooks puts something in his crosshairs, he's a different golfer. And I feel like this weekend is definitely going. Like, the guy obviously wants to win every time he goes out and competes, but this is a big deal. I think he's gonna have a little bit of an edge to him this weekend.
He's a big game hunter. I mean, he's a guy that I don't want to assume what he thinks or how he feels, but I truthfully think that he treats a normal event as I'm going to go get 4 rounds under my belt, or 3 rounds now under my belt, and I'm going to work on something, and that's going to lead towards 4 times a year for me. I can't remember who said it, but somebody said there's never been a guy that's won the amount of majors he's won without just winning other tournaments. It's kind of phenomenal. And I think he said in his press conference this week, I think somebody basically asked him that, and he's like, well, I like majors. And it's okay. Like, there we go. So yeah. He's just so tough to get a read on, because I mean, I would say this course sets up very well for him. It reminds me a lot of Bethpage when he won at Bethpage. I think it's a little bit different than last year at Oak Hill, but I mean, man, it kind of really does remind me of Bethpage, where he just went out and said, hey, I'm longer, I'm stronger, and my putter's going, I'm going to beat you. And he kind of beat it into submission. So it's tough. I'll be interested to see what he does. I think he'll definitely have a better showing than he did at the Masters. I think that was kind of an odd thing. I think definitely, him in the top 15 is almost a write-in at this point.
Anybody else, either inside the top 10 or kind of inside the top 20, 25 that you like?
So I'm going to say it, and I want to precurse this with saying, like, I'm not like a Live guy. Like, I could care less really, but I'm not like a Live fanboy. But if you look at the data golf stuff, there's a guy that's top 10 in the world that you are getting phenomenal odds on, and that is one Tyrrell Hatton.
Lord Tyrell.
And if he could hold it together, I mean, his strokes gained numbers and everything are very solid in every aspect. It truly is with him, I think, does he get the right side of the draw? Is he dealing with any bad weather? We got rain coming this week. If he can catch the right side and he can be in a good mood going into Saturday and Sunday, this is a guy that can do it, and kind of like I said, there hasn't been that weird major winner in a while. And while in name he would be kind of off, in what he's done over the past 6-8 months, he kind of fits the profile, somebody that can break through. So Hatton would be who I would kind of throw up against the board and say, hey, here's $50, go do something with it,
Yeah, T5 at Singapore, T14 at Adelaide, T9 at the Masters, T4 at Miami, T21 at Hong Kong. So I would say pretty good, not great golf, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of where you want to be, right? You want to be even keel heading into a major, if you're trying to strike and, kind of shock everybody. Yeah, never won a PGA Tour event in 7 seasons on tour. It's wild. And
the talent's there. I mean, like, it's obvious that the talent's there. It's just, I mean, he's a guy that, like I said, if he catches that, what is it? I think it's rain on Friday this week. If he catches that rain and they don't blow the horn quick enough, he has to play in some bad weather for 3 holes. Like, that's his tournament. He's done. He loses it mentally at that point.
So we're getting to the tail end of this podcast that is about golf, and we've somehow failed to mention Tiger Woods yet. Do you think he makes the cut? It's a tall task.
It's a tall one. He's got the best setup possible, though. He's early tomorrow, and then he's late on Friday. So he's going to have plenty of rest. He's going to have probably a little more rest on Friday than what's on the books right now because the rain coming in. I would, and maybe this is, be fanboy a little bit. I think he makes the cut. He's going to catch a good break. He can be well rested. Man, he's hitting it good when he's out there for the practice rounds. He's just hitting shots. He hits it damn good still. Yeah, he's gonna make the cut. He'll give us something to talk about on Friday.
And then Phil, do you think Phil can get it done? I mean, that's kind of like the two old heads, right? Like the two.
Yeah. I think Phil will probably give us something to talk about for 2 rounds. But no, I just don't think so. It's just at this point, other than the U.S. Open and him trying to complete the Grand Slam, what's he really playing for? Honestly, I mean, it's not like he's the drive. Just I don't blame him. I mean, hell, he's made all the money he could ever need, and what's the drive for? But I think other than the U.S. Open, I think he might just kind of be in kind of cruise mode right now.
Yeah. All right. We'll get out of here. One last note. Shout out to local boy. I guess local for both of us. He's now local for me, but originally from Olive Branch. Josh Bevel is in the field. I think the last I saw was plus 500,000. So hey, throw some money down on our boy Josh, and maybe he can make something happen. I mean,
he could be this year's block party. Who knows?
he could steal Blocky's thunder.
Heck yeah.
It'll be fun. Yeah, all weekend. Excited for it. I'm hoping the rain holds off and it's not too soppy out there. But Joe, really appreciate the time, man. We'll have you on again soon. I guess last thing here, kind of, this camera, like tell everybody, where they can find y'all at Cherokee Valley, and, kind of the floor is yours, and tell them where they should be playing golf this summer.
Yeah, no, for any tee times, things like that, just go to olivebranchgolf.com. You can book up to 7 days out in advance up there. May was kind of our big tournament month, so we're pretty open for the rest of the summer along those lines. You'll find all my information there in terms of pricing and things like that. My wife's making me start an Instagram for my club work stuff. So Joe's Club Shack on Instagram. It's not good, so don't judge me too hard on that. But she's making me start being a little bit better there. But yeah, any questions, anything like that, just always feel free to give Cherokee a call. And I don't care if you're local or not. If you got a question, something I can help you out with, I'm always ready and willing to help out.
Absolutely. That's Joe Troyan of Cherokee Valley in Olive Branch. Go check them out. Go out and have yourself a day on the course. That's going to do it for the Flagship. We will have tons of coverage of baseball, of softball this weekend. Regular season finale for Ole Miss baseball at LSU, which starts on Thursday. Don't forget that. And then Ole Miss softball in regional play in Louisiana down in Acadiana. And then, of course, we'll have portal coverage for you as it never stops. So for Joe over there, I'm Zach. This has been the Flagship. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a good weekend.